Over the skies of Makiivka, 6 HIMARS rockets had just sliced across the battlefield. They weren't making a visit. They were carrying a one-way ticket home for all 500 North Korean soldiers stationed on the borderland front. But not in first-class seats, inside rows of coffins strapped beneath the cargo holds of a departing aircraft. The flight to Pyongyang had just taken off. November 5, 2025. South Korean intelligence suddenly released a classified report. In just under 2 months, 5,000 additional North Korean troops had been dispatched to Russia. The total number of North Korean military aid personnel now fighting alongside Putin's army had surpassed 10,000, mostly concentrated near the eastern borders of Ukraine. At 5:30 on October 31st, just 1 day after Russia announced control over 80% of Makiivka, this battlefield quietly began witnessing a silent retreat. Roughly 500 North Korean soldiers, including infantry sappers, artillery crews, and field engineers, having spent more than 3 weeks in combat, had completed their mission. A convoy of heavy military trucks was preparing to withdraw from the front line via the eastern supply route, heading back toward Russian territory, marking the start of either a redeployment phase or a pullout to North Korea. But they were not alone. About 980 feet away, hidden beneath wild grass along the improvised military road, a small reconnaissance UGV was silently observing. It was an upgraded autonomous robot dog, based on the Unitree Go-1 platform, enhanced by Ukraine's 27th Artillery Brigade with a 360-degree FLIR-boson infrared camera, encrypted data transmission system, and a composite shell designed to scatter heat and radar signals. Its mobility and near invisibility to radar or the naked eye made it a mobile God's eye for Ukraine's artillery. Roughly 22 miles away, inside a Ukrainian-controlled forward command post, a strike team was monitoring the live video feed. Body heat, weapon reflections, and engine thermal signatures appeared as if projected on a living map. The entire convoy, 28 vehicles total, was clearly outlined: 24 Ural 4-320 military trucks loaded with troops, 2 MTLB armored escorts, 1 UAZ ambulance, and 1 logistics support vehicle. They had assembled on open ground at the outskirts of Makiivka, preparing to evacuate via the Starobilsk-Troitsky-Milarovo corridor. Team Scalpel, the elite HIMARS unit from Ukraine's 27th Brigade, was activated. This was a strike unit specially trained in Germany, Poland, and the US, tasked with deep-range precision strikes, high-value target elimination, and the destruction of strategic withdrawal routes. After cross-verifying satellite coordinates, the robot dog's infrared imagery, and local meteorological data, the fire team leader gave the command to arm the launchers. 6 guided HIMARS rockets, each carrying a 200-pound high-explosive fragmentation warhead with a 130-foot lethal radius, were loaded into the launcher. These were not just weapons, they were scalpels, surgical blades meant to sever logistical arteries, and this time, to cut the cord between Moscow and Pyongyang right on Luhansk soil. At 5:42, the fire control system confirmed target locked. The launcher jolted. 6 HIMARS rockets ignited, blasting into the sky at Mach 3, skimming low with GPS guidance, ripping through the dawn silence. The objective: destroy the entire convoy, prevent their return to Russia, and deliver a cold-blooded message. 6 HIMARS missiles roared across the sky. At temporary Russian checkpoints set up along Makiivka's central streets, once a school, a post office, and a gas station, troops panicked, looking up at the fiery trails screaming overhead. Soldiers hugged brick walls, gunners scrambled into MTLBS. Commanders shouted for the nearest air defense post. Within seconds, the entire zone plunged into unofficial red alert. But the 6 HIMARS rockets continued straight, just above rooftop height, showing no signs of targeting administrative or checkpoint areas. For several breathless minutes, as Russian platoons braced for impact, a new realization dawned. Some troops sighed in relief. A few even forced a chuckle, thinking they'd narrowly escaped. But the regional brigade commander wasn't laughing. If the HIMARS aren't coming for us, then they're going after something far more important. From temporary radar stations east of Makiivka, the HIMARS flight paths became clear. Not toward command posts, artillery batteries, or ammo dumps. The trajectory was tilting southeast, straight toward the withdrawing convoy, Internal alerts were issued, seconds too late. Russian electronic surveillance had just locked onto the altitude and vector, but the entire battlefield network was already in disarray. At the rally point, the convoy of 28 vehicles carrying 500 North Korean troops was still warming up. Some engines hadn't started. Troops were boarding, checking rifles, adjusting gear. The heat signatures from the diesel engines had barely registered when tactical radar confirmed the missile salvo was locked onto this exact location. Combat units in Makiivka scrambled to send a warning down the line. Commanders at the withdrawal site reacted more than 30 seconds too late. On the tactical map, the rally point sat directly in the missile kill zone. Orders no longer mattered. The flight speed of HIMARS exceeded Mach 3. From target acquisition to impact, only seconds remained. No time to disperse, no time to maneuver, no reaction fast enough to alter the outcome. The first HIMARS salvo struck. The first round plunged at a 45-degree angle into the convoy's lead segment, where the armored MTLB Spearhead vehicle was paving the way. The blast tore the vehicle apart, generating a fireball nearly 100 feet high. The shockwave ruptured the air, fragments slicing through steel plating like paper, unleashing hundreds of high-velocity alloy shards, shredding the cabins of 2 trailing Ural trucks and severing the forward communication link. The second rocket slammed into the convoy's middle, the most densely packed cluster of troops, with 4 troop-carrying Ural trucks parked side by side. The M31A1 warhead detonated at low altitude, its fragmentation radius covering 196 feet. At least 3 vehicles ignited in the first second. Intense heat incinerated canvas covers, tires flipped, corpses lay scattered, still smoldering on the scorched ground. The third rocket hit the technical support section, targeting trucks carrying equipment and auxiliary gear. A container of reserve fuel exploded, triggering a domino effect. Flames rapidly spread through lightweight materials, escalating into a third-degree blaze beyond the convoy's firefighting capabilities. 2 more rounds fell almost simultaneously onto the rear echelon, where reserve troops, some not yet aboard, were sheltering near brush piles and drainage ditches. The open field became a furnace. Shrapnel shredded vegetation, pierced vehicle hulls, and incinerated troop compartments in an instant. A UAZ medical vehicle flipped sideways, its wheels ablaze, skidding off the roadside. The 6th HIMARS round, the final shot of the salvo, crashed into the tail of the convoy, where a field radio hub and rear security team had just been deployed. The explosion severed all communications between the convoy and frontline units. A mobile signal station was ripped apart, its antenna hurled from the mast, flickering erratically before going silent. The entire staging area became an inferno. 6 impact points stretched across less than 0.8 miles. A thick black column of smoke rose over 230 feet, visible from western Makiivka. On the tactical map of the 27th Brigade, the strike zone was marked with a full kill symbol. A Russian forward rescue unit, consisting of 2 MTLB armored vehicles, 1 light medical truck, and an EOD team, was dispatched from Starobilsk to the strike site. Response time exceeded 30 minutes due to the total breakdown of communications after the attack. When the rescue team arrived, nothing could be salvaged. The entire convoy, 28 vehicles in total, was either incinerated or damaged beyond recovery. All that remained were twisted frames, warped armor plates, dislodged wheels, and charred, unrecognizable bodies. Fire still smoldered at 3 locations. EOD personnel had to deploy mini drones and thermal sensors to scan heat levels before approaching each area. Casualties were estimated at nearly 500, most of them North Korean troops. The rest included Russian drivers, crew, and support technicians. No survivors were found within the primary strike zone. Some bodies had been thrown far from the gathering point by the blast. Russian counter-battery units in Svatove were issued a limited response directive, but the HIMARS launchers had already withdrawn. No air defense system reacted in time. The ambush wiped out the entire 500-strong North Korean unit, freshly withdrawn from frontline duty at Makiivka, in under 30 seconds. It marked the first time a foreign combat unit fighting on Russia's side was nearly annihilated in Ukraine. All associated vehicles, engineering assets, and logistical equipment were also completely destroyed. Immediately following the strike, remaining North Korean detachments in Starobilsk, Troitske, and Svatove were ordered to hold fixed positions, suspend all-night maneuvers, and withdraw from open routes. This order was not publicized through press channels, but was confirmed via adjustments to local logistics patterns and disruptions in coalition resupply in eastern Luhansk. Russian command was forced to reassess its entire rotational strategy for North Korean forces, particularly tactical engineer teams previously tasked with trench building and establishing temporary bases.